Welcome to the Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Harvey. The Foundation has set up a COVID relief fund in order to support thousands of union performers who are going through tough times. Since March, thanks to your donations, the Foundation has given nearly $7 million in emergency aid to more than 7,000 performers and their families. If you're a SAG-AFTRA member and need help, please ask. And if you can help, please give. Information can be found in the description in the video. And now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce the incredible cast of ZOEY'S Extraordinary Playlist: Jane Levy, Skylar Aston, Alex Newell, John Clarence Stewart, and Mary Steenburgen. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks, Harvey.
Hey.
You look beautiful.
You look beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. How's everyone doing?
Alive.
There we go.
Please clarify that. Thank you so much for joining. You know, I had the pleasure of joining all of you in Vancouver shooting season 2. And I got to say, your cast is so warm and so welcoming. It's like, it was a breath of fresh air, really. I was just lucky enough to join you guys for a little bit, and it really it's like a machine. You guys run the show so well, and I wanted to ask you, I know that you can attest to this, the show truly does make this show, the theme, the tones for it are really kind of everywhere. It's comedic, it's joyful, but it's also dealing with some really heavy stuff like grief. I wanted to start off with Jane. What are the conversations like on set to balance that tone across comedy, emotions, music, across each episode and the whole season as a whole?
Yeah, it's something that I think makes our show very special is we can swing from huge musical numbers to rooted family drama to quirky redhead comedy. And, you know, sometimes even in one scene, not just in one episode or throughout the season, it's like one scene. Like Skylar and I did this number or a scene in the finale, that is like highly dramatic, and mid-scene there's like a really funny joke. And there's a lot of conversations with Austin, our writer and showrunner, and Mandy Moore, our choreographer, about the tone, especially in terms of heart songs. You know, we have this language of our show that is heart songs, which is people sing their private yearnings, desires, fears to Zoe. And there's a lot of talk about whether this heart song is going to be a joke or whether this heart song is absolutely not a joke. And so, you know, sometimes I'll come in and I'll do a scene and Austin will be like, okay, less comic, or the opposite. And I never really know which one they're going to want until I make the choice. It's a collaboration between, you know, musical numbers that we choose from artists across time, the actors performing them, the editors, the set design, the other actor in the scene. And that's what makes collaborating so special.
Yeah, because I mean, going back to like the first day on set with you, we're doing a scene where it's just funny, it's light, and then the next second we're crying. So that like emotional roller coaster is so like, it's a journey. I've never been on that before, where it's like, we're doing a comedy, but it's so dark, but it's also sweet. And it's so, you know, all these elements that you guys do so perfectly on the show, which I applaud you all because you're all fantastic. But in addition to regular challenges in production, making an hour series, each episode features 4 to 6 musical numbers. So you're creating musical TV series every 8 days. That's pretty intense. And let me tell you, from speaking from experience of joining your cast, I see no minute wasted. You guys are like a machine. It's so great. And I want to ask Alex, talk about the music selections on the show and the process of prepping and recording on set and working with the great Harvey Mason Jr.
It's phenomenal. I don't do that much. When I come in, it's like, here, you're singing, you're parking, you're barking. So everybody else is getting all the fun and doing the dances and stuff like that. But it's a choo-choo train that's going fast, and we're all trying to get through it all. And so that's having 2 to 3 dance rehearsals and recording the song and finding the tone while you're recording the song with Harvey, who's in LA and we're in Vancouver, and Charlie, who's there as our consultant, really trying to have it fit our voice. And really trying to make the story there as well and finding the tone in that. And, and then filming it. And a oneer is super different than, doing it, something that's beautifully shot in all hours of the day. We're trying to get it done in this real emotional place from ZOEY'S POV. But working with Harvey is a dream come true, to be honest, because I get enamored by all the things that he's done that I've loved but didn't know about. Like every now and again, he'll drop a little nugget. He's like, yeah, I worked with that person. I'm just like, cool.
What are some of those? Can you share with us?
Yeah.
What are those?
It took me like a year of working with Harvey to be like, oh, you run the Grammys. You, sir, are the Grammys. We love to see it.
But you're no stranger to this routine, right, Alex? I mean, coming from Glee, like, was this something similar or very different?
Absolutely not. It's very different. Glee was a well-oiled machine where there were times that I didn't even get to record the song before filming it. There were times that I learned the choreography while filming the scene. It was very fast-paced, but on this show, we are taking the time to really craft and cultivate and really make this story something that's cohesive and seamless at the same time.
Fantastic. I love
because
that.
on Glee, we were just making music videos and it was shot beautifully and it was music videos. This, we're doing scenes. It's scene work and the songs come from an emotion and not just doing it because we can do it.
Exactly. That's fantastic. I love that. John, you've had some pretty epic dance moments this season. I got to say, I was there for Juice and I was literally like, good luck to the editor because every one of those takes, I was like, I can't pick. Like, I literally can't pick. You did What Does the Fox Say? And many more. Describe the show's process working with Mandy Moore and her team from rehearsal to executing it on the day of.
Harvey, I got to say, it's a dream come true working with Mandy. I mean, I've watched her work since So You Think You Could Dance back in the day. And when I found out that we'd be working with Mandy, I had a little panic attack in the bathroom before coming back in to do the first table read. And I was like, cool, this is great. I'm going to be in here. This is going to be fun. But I got to say, with Mandy, every process for each of us is different. She's just a genius in the way that she can take the vocabulary of someone's specific body and she can capitalize on it and push you and make sure that everything is, if it's inside your wheelhouse, she maximizes on it and she'll stretch you outside of your comfort zone in this really tactical way. And I always feel safe. So whether it's What Does the Fox Say or Juice, whether it's the amazing number that's like a whole act that Jane and Skylar did earlier in the season, which is like this one act play that they ended up choreographing and doing with these beats and moments and all of these beautiful things. Each of the numbers is so specific. So for me, my process with Mandy is usually I go in and we spend time like freestyle dancing and stuff like that. And we'll find different languages for the songs. We'll find what the access point is, what is the language they use, cracking the code in the song. And once we crack the code in the song, then you're just swinging for the fences and you seeing how far you can go. And that's the process working with Mandy. It's a joy, man.
Yeah, I can agree.
How it is to be in that space.
Yeah, and she makes it very welcoming. Like I'm by no means a dancer, but I can move, but she makes you feel so comfortable. And then you realize, whoa, you're making me do moves that I didn't even think I could do. So I love that you put it that way. Mandy, shout out to Mandy. If she's watching, we love her. So thanks so much. Skylar, I have a question for you.
Jane wants to say something.
Just want to say something really quick. I've heard, John, you say this before, that during the table read, you had a panic attack in the bathroom. And I just want you to know, and everybody else, that I also cried in the bathroom at the table read.
You heard it here first.
I also went to the bathroom. So
I think I walked by a bathroom.
Just in there being like, can you guys stop crying? I'm like trying to do business.
Hey, yo, Sky, hold up, man. Like, hold up, bro. Just like make sure that we get the music live though. Can we do that?
I'm like, you're good.
I hate it.
Skylar, what's so remarkable about the show is that every musical number is so unique and it reflects the storyline being told. How have you found that the musical numbers are utilized to express the specific nature of each character's feelings?
Well, what I love the most about our show is that our musical numbers are always advancing the story. Sometimes we like physically go back to one where, you know, it's only taken place over a blip of time. But as that blip of time is expanded through song and through dance, we get to really feel that person's emotion in a way that even some musicals don't do in, you know, on stage. Sometimes there's like fantasy aspects of musicals where you're not fully learning something new about the character. And in this case, we always are learning something new and a bit of a secret. And it's a device that is used so well by Austin and the writers and Mandy and Team Dance. And, you know, I also just have to tip my hat off to Jane, because every single song is a duet in a way, even when it's just me singing. Jane is so a part of it and so the receiver of all of it. And often she's featured. Sometimes we've even seen now she dances with people. And so that's like a really important part, is that we are also seeing this through the lens, while it's like someone's deep emotional secret, we're also seeing it through the lens of Zoe and how she's going to utilize that information and harbor those emotions herself.
Totally true. I couldn't agree more. I was telling Jane that on set as well. I feel like, how do you like keep your sanity? Because it's like you're doing like the emotional work and then it's like lively and you're going through the roller coaster of everyone's turmoil and emotion in one episode, which is a lot. But it's done so well. And Mary, you've spoken about being in a musical show was a new experience for you last year. Were there any unique challenges, things you learned perhaps, or something that surprised you from your performance in season 2?
Oh my God. I mean, my husband tells people that every time I come home and I say, this is what I'm going to do, he literally goes into a complete panic. He goes in the bathroom and cries because he's so frightened for me. And he's so convinced that I won't be able to do it. And then he always comes around and goes, somehow you've done it again. Somehow you managed to do it. And it's just with all these guys, I mean, the last dance that we did, which was our last day, season 2, which I believe it's okay if we talk about now. I think they said it's okay to say, but I had a moment with John and Skylar in this that, you know, Skylar is known for jumping backwards up in the air, and John is like leaping forward and landing right at my feet. And my main job was, don't get underneath John. Don't get in John's way. And I did that. I did it right every time, but also every time I was near them, I just couldn't stop laughing. We just laughed at that moment, and we're supposed to be singing, but I'm actually laughing because it's so delicious and fun and joyous. And it's such an amazing thing in my life that I got to do this. This is just not something I ever saw myself doing. I dreamt about it as a little girl, and I'm pretty sure that me doing it is some, you know, little girl's desire that took a very long time, like a little lost letter that finally made it to the right angels. And somehow I get to play with these amazing people. But everybody will tell you we're all growing, because working with Mandy and the brilliant things that Austin gives us to do and asks us to do, you can't help but grow. It doesn't matter how miraculous you are at all this stuff, you're still going to grow.
Oh, I love that. My only regret is that George didn't have any scenes with you.
I know. I hated that. I told our mutual friend, Kristen Shaw, that I felt robbed.
I know. Well, who knows the future? Who knows
Yeah.
what the future has in store?
Yeah.
Jane, you have a front row seat to every musical number as everything is happening through Zoe's eyes. What is that process like? What does that feel like?
I mean, I've said this a lot of times, but it's just what a great job. I get to watch all of these massively talented people perform. And it's, you know, what's fun about television is that it's constantly evolving and developing, and the writers learn our voices and we learn our co-stars' voices, and we get to just go deeper and deeper into these characters. So Zoe's relationship with her power, and how she exists during these songs is something that we're talking about all the time with Mandy and Austin and the actors who are performing the number. And, I think I could get really heady and talk about my process, which I have before, and then I notice everyone's asleep or drooling, and so I'm not going to do that. But I think that when Zoe hears these songs, she hears them for a reason that has to do with her and her journey, and she always learns something, whether it's about the person in front of her or about herself or both. And it's just such a pleasure.
That's great. And season 1 showed us that Zoe and her family were preparing for a looming loss. And season 2, thematically, was about recovery and process of trying to emerge from this grief and find life again. Mary, how does this play out for Maggie throughout the season? And how do Maggie and Zoe process together and independently?
Well, I think this season was for me what a lot of people experience after a huge loss that Maggie had. And it, this has been such a surreal experience because we were almost giving voice in many ways to the heart of a country right now, because if you didn't lose someone in COVID, you probably knew someone who did. And if you didn't have that, you certainly lost freedoms, and children going to school, and there was so much loss in the world. And our show was about loss, but it's also about hope and about finding the courage to put one foot in front of the other. And when you're going through that, having been through loss in my life, it's not just one crying moment after another. It's a crying moment, and then somebody says something that makes you laugh in spite of your heartbreaking, and then you cry some more. And I think our show reflected that it's not just one, you don't just climb up to happiness. It's not a smooth thing. And Jane's character especially had so much conflict, within herself, but my character did too, just really trying to, because I don't fit in anymore. I go out with other couples and no one knows quite how to deal with me anymore. And they just talk about their trips they're taking together. And it is very true to what I think people go through with a huge loss.
That's a perfect segue to ask Jane. We see Zoe go through many stages, as Mary was just mentioning, in her grieving process this season. It's not a straight line to recovery, as we all know. It's filled with some mistakes and some comedy. How did you approach playing the varying phases of Zoe's grief throughout the season?
Yeah, the other thing I've been thinking so much about grief, and everybody's grieving process is different. And I think it's very easy to judge others, but mostly I feel like we judge ourselves. And I think that Zoe is somebody who really wants to get things right. And, she's mathematically inclined, coder person, solving problems. And she thought she could solve her grief. And every step of the way, she realizes she can't, and she gets frustrated and she falls down, and she has these amazing talks with Simon, and then she has these talks with Mo or Max or Maggie, and she has this incredible group of people around her supporting her. But like I was talking about before about television, what I really like about TV is that the middle section gets to exist for a very long time, and you get to go like this and then sideways and then this way. Like in a movie, it's like the beginning, the conflict, the climax, the end. That middle part in TV can be years. And so this year it was about recovery, and Zoe did some drugs. She fell in love with different people. She was not compassionate enough with herself, was not compassionate enough with others. She triumphs, she fails. And I'm just really glad that I get to play a character that is totally imperfect, and we love her for that.
I love that. Alex, I have a question for you. Unlike many of the other characters on the show, Mo sings in both Zoality and in the real world. Mo once again opens our season with an a cappella version of Rise Up. How did that song set the tone for the season in terms of performance and this overarching theme of everyone needing to rise up and enter the real world?
Like a phoenix, she rises from the ashes to fly again. Truly, that's what it is. The song is about rebirth and about coming from adversity and finding new footing to be able to go to your day to day and get over the grief that you go through, the turmoil that you go through, all the things that bring you down and finding a way to keep going and carrying on. And that is everything that every character on the show is going through throughout everything, whether it be Max quitting his job or getting fired from his job, finding new journeys there, Maggie losing the love of her life, Zoe losing her father, Simon kind of really understanding racism in the workplace, all of these things having to rise up from that to go on and find greater pastures, really, and finding the good that's in the bad that you've come from. So having that song set the tone for the rest of it, I did that.
I love that. You did do that. You absolutely did that. Well, this question's for everyone. The show has such a special group of people involved, particularly with the cast, where everyone came in from such different experiences. So this question's for everyone. What has it been like to work together to create such a strong ensemble over the past 2 years?
I have something to say.
Yes.
I just watched What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I've seen it before, but I constantly revisit these classics like Philadelphia or What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and I see Mary Steenburgen, and I'm just like, this woman has the most amazing career, like has been a part of such incredible movies and given such like amazing performances that stick with us forever. And now she's on this show with us, and sometimes I remember that again. And I've heard you in an interview talk about like how a lot of actors your age sort of quit or they fall back and they don't take risks. And I am just so impressed that you are doing this job. That's all.
I may put my computer down now and go cry in the bathroom. That was amazing. Thank you.
It's true. It's just really, really impressive. And not only impressive, it's like inspiring. Like I remember looking at you during that last number and you dancing with all of these people on this screen. And I was just really impressed by you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Completely.
I know, that's very sweet. Anyone else?
Mary, it'd be funny if you go to the bathroom to cry and Ted's already there crying for you.
No, because I literally can see him napping outside.
Perfect. You might be crying.
Oh my goodness.
What about you, Alex?
It's much what Jane said about Mary. I pinch myself each and every day. Mary, I'm going to love on you. Each and every day that I get to even sit next to Mary Steenburgen in the hair and makeup trailer. I learned so much from Mary, and a lot of it is grace and how she walks through the set. A lot of it is this effervescent of love that comes pouring out of her. She's the kindest human that I've ever encountered in my life. And it means so much to me because who would have thought this little Black kid from the smallest town, Massachusetts, would one day work with Oscar winner Mary Steenburgen. It is quite literally amazing. And she said she's going to write a song for me, so I'm going to hold it to you.
I am.
But it's a learning experience. And I think whether we know it or not, we're learning so much from each other. And Mary, I thank you for what you've imparted to me in the brief 2 years I've been working together. But I've learned so much from everybody that I work with each and every day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I again get to have this role where I watch all of you perform and also just learning about all of you and your history and how you got here. Like, Skylar, when you performed Anyone, is that the name of the Demi Lovato song?
Mm-hmm.
Your voice, like even talking about it, like that was live, which we don't often do that. And when you did that on set, it like everybody was like, whoa, the fact that that can come out of a human being is like amazing. And you come from Broadway and you were on Spring Awakening, this like the show that everybody talks about. And John, I've worked with you for 3 years, had no idea on What If that you could sing and dance. And I think, I don't know, did you know that you could do what you've been doing on this show? And Harvey, you learned Japanese so that you could do a musical in Japan. And Alex Newell, like you are kind of, I don't even know how to talk about you. And like, just like all of your guys' journey to singing and dancing on this show informs so much about your character and what you bring. And I just feel like so lucky. And I mean it.
This is a great cast. This is absolutely by far one of my favorite casts ever to even come and play with and be a small part of. So I could go on and on of each one of you. Alex, you know, I've been on your court since the beginning years ago. You are such a talent. And I actually were the first person I text when I was going to do the project. Like, yeah, I did. And I was like, I think I can do it. Maybe I might be able to do it schedule wise. So, and then, you know, Skylar and I got engaged in a boat and
and the rest is history, babe. The rest is history.
People thought we got engaged because we rented a boat. We should have not rented a boat, Skylar. I just realized that was probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah, tell that story to the foundation. Yikes. Cool gun. I was like,
are we okay? He's like, I think we're good. And he just was cool as a cucumber. I knew we were, but he was like, we're good.
Pretty choppy waters.
Yeah. And then Jane, I adore you. Such welcoming, such a talent. And Mary, like, I'm so just sad that we couldn't work together in a scene, but we will one day. Yeah. And John, I could go on and on about you for forever, but they're telling me in my earpiece that we can't do that. We can't. Okay, so I'm not in charge here anymore, so I have to go on with the next question. But you guys are. Is there anyone else who wants to share? I know that
I do.
Yes.
I do. So here's the thing: in a show called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, you better be careful about who Zoe is, because she's going to be at the heartbeat of every single scene. And she could be anybody. She could be a diva, or she could be someone who phones it in, or she could be not wildly adept at all these different crazy ways of working that we have to work. And Jane just cares so deeply. And I'm very touched by what you said about me, but I've said this about you before, and I will always say it, that she makes every single one of us work. None of us would work without Jane. None of this would even make sense without somebody that gifted to be able to be the eyes and the ears through which everybody's emotions are displayed. And it wouldn't matter how good any of these songs or dances are if she were less amazing at her craft of making it all work together. And she's what, when I watch this show, she has my heart through the whole thing. She takes you through it all. So I mean, it's just, it's a total blessing. And Jane, there's not enough words from any of us about how lucky we are to work with you.
That's so great.
We don't like each other. None of us
are in the bathroom.
Clearly,
you ain't got no respect.
No. That's what's so great about this show, is that you have such an amazing ensemble, and our captain is so wonderful as well. And the show covered so many challenging and complex topics this season, including a storyline addressing racism in the workplace at Spark Point. John, that episode, I mean, you were heavily involved in the creative conversation around shaping this storyline for Simon and the show. Talk about your experience collaborating with the creative team on reflecting this very real issue in both the story and the musical performances in episode 6.
Well, I have to echo something that everyone else has said. Is the blessing it is to be a part of this team, because nothing that we did as a team and what we came up with, none of that is a foregone conclusion, right? It takes a whole lot of open hearts. It takes a whole lot of conversations. It takes a lot of awkwardness, and it takes a lot of seeking to find what our showrunner Austin loves to find, which is the truth. And just like this relentless desire to get to the core of the thing, which is why all of the humor, all of the heart, all of the music can orbit this truth that we find. And I find that with the systemic racism in the workplace episode, it was no different. It was, I was a part of it from like early June, and Austin reached out and told me about it. And I had my hesitations, but he said that he was really open. And I gotta say, his actions matched his words. And that was a beautiful thing. And then along the way, each step of the way, you know, bringing in Luther Brown to choreograph the episode, because Mandy knew that there's a specific physical language that we wanted to capture. And so she collaborated with Luther Brown on the language, the physical language of the episode, and then having all music from people of color in the episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things are very specific and intentional, and they create the atmosphere for the truth to exist on the set. To Anya Adams coming in, to Zora Bikangaga coming in and pinning the episode, to Alex Newell, like, just being, I mean, Alex, what you're able to do, you move me to my core, you know, and being in that scene in the stairwell with you and looking at you, I'm gonna get emotional talking about this, like being in the scene in the stairwell with you, looking at you in the eye, you telling me who I am and what it is to be in the world and what it looks like to not keep your head down and to really own and claim your space. It felt like Alex talking to John. Like, you have a way of just being so honest. It's just powerful. And I thank you for that. It's a gift, man. And I gotta say, every step of the way from the first season and grief and everything that everyone moved through to this season now, which is grief, and all of these other things from grief to systemic racism to Alice and this postpartum depression. Like, there's so many things that we have the opportunity to do on this show. And it would be remiss of me to not thank every single person that's involved, and to bring it all back around to our number one, Jane. Like, you stick your tongue out of school. It makes you feel awkward, deal with it. Go cry in the bathroom later, like, whatever. But like, real talk, I remember so many conversations that we had, you know, and your desire to tell the truth and your desire to make sure that Zoe was not this spotless, without a blemish character. And there's just this desire to be honest, because we all realize the gift we have with Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. We have this, like, and Mary, like you said, with the world we're living in right now, we just so happens that there's this show in the world at this time when it's stewarded in this way that can bring a lot of healing to people. And it's a beautiful thing.
That was beautiful.
You said that.
Crane, that was absolutely beautiful. Okay, well, on that note, the show has now featured well over 100 musical numbers in only 2 seasons. That's a lot of songs. So to close out, let's do a really quick lightning round for everyone. So first question is, what has been your most challenging musical number this season? Jane, we'll start with you.
I don't know. Nowhere to Run was hard because I didn't really have very much rehearsal, and Austin came in after like our first rehearsal and he was like, dance here. And Mandy was like, we have 1 second to do it. And he was like, I don't care, dance here. So that was hard because we did it in a very short amount of time.
All right. Alex, how about you?
Oh, darling, they're all easy.
Yes, Alex.
Darling, sweetie, darling, they're all easy. You know what? The longest one was We Can Work It Out. 13 hours, 15 hours later, and I was tired. But darling, they're all easy.
I love that. What about you, Skylar?
in cracking the code, I think the sequence in episode 2 took a second and had a lot of minds around it. And just from a pure dance standpoint, I would probably say in episode 5, Numb was a fun challenge, and Mandy, Jeffrey, and Jillian were like, we're going to challenge you. We're going to make you do some stuff you haven't done, and you might want to like do some leg workouts. So, you know, that was a fun thing. And we had like 3 rehearsals, which is so rare. So we got to really like get comfortable in it.
You look amazing in that number. You look like a ballerina.
Thank you, Jen.
Fantastic. And Mary, how about you?
Oh, well, the song that was the most difficult for me was Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better, where I sang 2 people, a male and a female, who were being very competitive with each other.
Love it.
So
and
that's it.
John, how about you?
Yo, Alex, I'm on the other side of the spectrum from you, fam. Like everything is mad hard. And
You don't look that way. You don't look that way.
but I gotta say, I mean, everything that I've had the opportunity to do in this season has been challenging in its own way, which is something I'm grateful for. Like Mary, like you said, everything's pushing us outside of the comfort zone. But one of the things that comes to mind, well, one is what does the Fox say? Because what? I was like, how do I wrap my...
Wait, can we just say John didn't know that song?
No.
Oh, I love that song.
12-year-old?
I love that song.
Not a fact. I've said this before, but like usually in team dance in the dance studio, they have all the songs out in acronyms before we go into, next episodes, because they plan and they're organized and they're beautiful. And so I see this acronym that's ridiculous. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, what's Foxy? And I was like, no, that sounds a weird song. Feel sorry for whoever has to sing that. But I gotta say, we started rehearsing that song before we went on the Christmas break. And then we came back and there were 2 days before we had to shoot it. And so we rehearsed the song before Christmas break, and we placed it in like 4 different places in Spark Point before we settled on where it was going to be. So the song we rehearsed was not the song I came back to after Christmas break. The body that I had was not the body that I had before Christmas break.
I can attest it was not the same body.
And so I was like, I don't know how this is going to go, but it was a joy. It was an absolute joy. Yeah.
You only get better like a nice bottle of wine, like a nice bottle of Kim Crawford, as Alex would detest.
Don't tell my business, Harvey.
Oh, that's literally one of my favorite memories. Well, I'm getting one last question. Oh, okay. Which George song is your favorite for the season? This is so weird.
Who is George?
Got him.
You.
George's character I played, Alex. I played George.
I thought it was Jorge.
What was your favorite Jorge song?
Trifling.
I mean, you were amazing singing Britney Spears. I loved it so much. But my favorite moment working with you was when I had to fire you.
Oh my God.
And oh my
What's
God. That was the scene where there was laughing and then crying and then laughing. And then when you called me sister.
That was my favorite part of watching that scene. While
You were
they
there?
Filming it, yes. And the age gap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I love performing that number with every ounce of my body. What is the last thing that you want to say to the audience, to the fans who are watching the show who love it?
I mean, just like, thank you guys for understanding it and supporting it and caring. Like, we have very passionate fans. It's very exciting. And we're clearly doing something right, even when they're upset that she's choosing one guy over another. And it's just like engagement. I mean, people are like excited. We really, starting season 2, I think we were all like, are we going to address the pandemic? How's this going to go? What kind of stories are we going to tell? And something that I think we were hopeful for, and I think we're doing, is providing a really healthy, really lovely escape and an emotional escape from the time that we are currently going through, and even looking forward and carrying on toward the future. I think it's been an interesting I think, John, you said it's like almost like being on set was almost a simulation, because it's like we were entering this real world filled with connection. And I mean, we started a business where you don't order in, you do order in food in person. So we were like encouraging the carrying on that we will eventually all do together as a world. And as I zoom out, I just think that like, it's just so amazing that we've been able to reach these many people.
That's beautiful. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today, everyone at home for watching and joining today's conversation. And let's wave to everyone goodbye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.